What goes?
La da da di da, la da da di da, la da da di da 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 da, la da da di da. Good morning, me old gaming darlings, and I hope you are all keeping well. Thank you for joining in on this morning podcast. And by all means, if you are joining in, by all means, feel free to ask a question anyway in the comment section down below. And and of course, I will answer as soon as possible. But of course, in regards, it can be anything. This podcast call can be any for discussion, providing it's a little bit respectful and nothing too offensive on the matter. So keep your keep your mouths clean, if anything else. But of course, without further ado, if you want more people to enjoy on this live podcast talk, then by all means, feel free to share the live stream as well. Smash that like button. And of course, it will be more entertaining for more people that join in. But of course, gifting is not required. But of course, if you want to do so in a way, then by all means, feel free to tip me with a heart, mate. It's only one TikTok coin, but of course, it does help also give a boost morale to the channel as well in regards to the support as well. And if you are new to the channel, by all means, feel free to follow it as well, as this should actually say 1,000 to be fair. I don't know why it didn't say. I thought I changed it through, but I'm realising I had the... it's not going to let me change, is it? Oh, no, it is. It is indeed. I think is it going to let me apply? I think it will be. I forgot about that for when it came to having it on portrait view. It should do it. Hopefully it will be acceptable for during this live stream. It'll probably take a little bit of a while, so of course apologies for that minute error. But of course, without further ado, what has been happening with RG88? So of course, Tina Canty 262 for liking the live stream. Thanking you very much, my dear. Thanking you. So of course, without further said, what's been happening? So of course, this week has been an absolute staunch of playing the live streams of Spyro the Dragon 3, Year of the Dragon for the 100% challenge. Now, I thought that we were off to a very, very good start, and it seems like the later part of the world have really bit me on the arse. It really has. And of course, I was really hopeful that I'd be able to get it all nipped in the bud last night. And of course, because of the difficulty in the levels of trying to get 100% completion, not a chance was it going to happen. So of course it is going to be generally the final day tonight, but of course it will only be about for an hour and a half. And of course, though that my live streams are for about 3 hours, you're probably wondering, well, what am I going to be live streaming instead? Well, there is going to be another game afterwards. So of course you're not going to be treated to one live stream game, you're going to be treated to two live stream games, but I've not decided what the second game is going to be. I really haven't got no idea what to go for yet. But of course, I'm not going to do like another second big game on it test for that coverage for the second part, only because there's a very good reason. Obviously tomorrow, there will be a tomorrow morning podcast, but there won't be another live stream, and that's purely because I'm getting everything set up for this particular game. So of course, if you are a fan of Disney and of course you're a fan of Final Fantasy at the same time, you may recall this little gem of a game. So of course, if you haven't seen the pinned post, we of course be streaming Kingdom Hearts 1.5 from Monday the 11th of May, which is actually this upcoming Monday. So of course, if you haven't seen the pinned video, you've got a reminder, it's one of the pinned videos at the top of this channel, and which of course, why is it called 1.5 and not just simply 1? Well, the 0.5 is actually a reference to HD remake of the original game from when it came out onto the PlayStation 2 itself. And so, of course, it's obviously now available on Steam. So, of course, you can now play Kingdom Hearts through via PC or your Steam Deck, other media. So it's not as if it's just been solely exclusively over onto the PlayStation, which, of course, the bundle it came with is 1.5 and 2.5. So, of course, there's a second installment. But, of course, from Monday, we are actually going to be doing Kingdom Hearts. It may be worth for doing it for a couple of weeks, maybe. It won't be 100%. It won't be 100%. But this is something that I've been really wanting to do for quite some time, of actually live streaming this game, and which I'm really looking forward to it. So tomorrow, when I'll be having the evening off, it'll be purely in the essence of getting the emotes for the Super Fan Club, getting ready for that. So for those exclusive perks. At the same time, any of the giftings that come across through, primarily would want the Heart Me gifts. So, of course, I don't think I can do multiple different sounds for that one gift, if anything else. But, of course, I'm looking to be quite creative. So there's going to be a lot of effort into dealing with the channel, so that to play onto an effect of making it more Disney and Kingdom Hearts specifically related, which, of course, I'm really looking forward to it. Nervous, don't get me wrong. I think it's not just with the fact of the playing of the game, but I just want to make it feel a little bit special for every other viewer to be able to enjoy in. And, of course, that, again, will be in itself for every evening up until 7 to 10. Now, I know I said every evening until the game gets completed, but of course there may be a point where it's going to be a break for that matter. But it depends really what the sort of the audience taste goes for. But I mean, by all means, I'm more than happy to take a little break into it to cover for something else. But don't think that I'm going to be putting another platform game involved into it, because of course I'll be losing traction as to say, well, when am I going to restart on that game? And then of course it's changing every single of the settings that you had previously all set up through, and then of course it would just be too much hassle for work over nothing. So I think I'm going to be predominantly playing straight away for Kingdom Hearts throughout the whole stream, and I hope for more and more of you will be willing to join in. And that I'm quite excited for it. I really am. But hopefully it will go like a blast. But I'm hoping for that to the point that, you know, I don't know whether to put a promotion onto it so that more and more people can be enticed to join in. And by all means, anybody can join in, regardless whether you're just solely a Disney fan or if you're not. Just a video game, supporter. By any means, anybody can join in, and there'd be no, no segregation whatsoever. Because I would love for anybody of the community to be able to join in on the live stream game, and to whether it be anything out of topic or anything at all. But of course, I think the ideal goal for doing the Kingdom Hearts, of course, is to try and get at least one super fan, so that they can enjoy the extra perks that I've put into it. And then, of course, it would be absolutely amazing to get that achievement. But it can be anybody, this super fan. Anybody can join in. And, of course, if anybody isn't aware of the super fan, by all means, look at the super fan perks that get involved into it. It's about £9.10 per month, and of course there is no signed contract fee. It can take, you can cancel on the day that you don't feel you're up for it and you want to stop for it. There's no shame in the matter. But what it comes with involved is, of course, you get exclusive emotes. You do get Heart Me gifts that automatically get sent across to me, so that you don't have to specifically send off any other gifts that come along with. You also get direct prompts, direct messaging. So of course you guys get priority, and of course every time that you join in as a super fan, you will be the priority of having a conversation with yourself on the listing, and which of course you get shout out for every time that you come in saying, oh, thank you so much for being a super fan, and the same thing for every time that before we finish off. So of course you will be highly recognised throughout the whole live stream, and of course you will get the priority. Simona Flaschetti, thank you so much for liking the live, really do appreciate that, thank you. That I'm trying to help boost the channel in its own sense of way. Now, am I expecting to get loads of followers out of this? Who knows? Who absolutely knows? But I mean, it would be absolutely awesome to be able to help it boost straight towards 1,000 followers. And then, of course, somebody's going to ask the question, well, what are you planning on doing after Kingdom Hearts? Now, of course, as I bought Kingdom Hearts 1.5, I did actually get Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. But don't think that you'll be expecting 2 and 3 inconsistent anytime soon. I want to be able to obviously break away from all the other different games, break away from that, just so that there's other content that come along with. I'm quite meaningful doing for maybe a couple of the horror games involved, or even give a shout out to give a try on other platforming games, even like on the indie development parts of it, because there is a couple of games out there that are quite a bit of a niche and a bit of underscoring gems. Some people have mixed opinions on them, but of course that'd be awesome to be able to give it all a try so that everybody can be aware of it, and of course they can have to be potentially great games like all the other classic platforms like Crash Bandicoot, even Spyro the Dragon, but even Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario, all these other major platformers, I think some of the other indie developer games, they have the potential. They really do have the potential. So, and of course, is it a risk factor? It possibly is. It's 50-50. Either it's going to be successful in the live stream or it's not. But I like to think that they all have an opportunity. That each and every one of them has an opportunity for it. So guys, by all means, before I waffle on too much, feel free to ask a question or anything else. And by all means, leave a comment down below. And of course, I will be able to answer shortly. So by all means, feel free. And give me a little bit of a break for just talking straight away. But of course, it'll be awesome to see some of the comments for the question through, and don't be shy. There's no judgments, anything. The only time it's a bad comment of a question is the one that it didn't get asked. So it's nothing silly or anything else. Just feel free to message away. It'd be absolutely awesome of you all. So of course, do I have any other potentials for other media content through? I see predominantly, if things go quite well in the near future, I'd like to see myself actually getting hold of a Windows-based mobile PC game handheld, so that'd be more specifically for all the other indie horror games. Because I'd love to dive into all these different indie horror games, but of course, with the Steam Deck's compatibility, predominantly it is a Linux-based system. The problem with that is that obviously Linux games, like Linux systems, can't really play Windows-based games well. So of course, there is a sort of a there's a slight negative on that for the Steam Deck, thinking that, any game you see on Steam, thinking that, every game's going to be compatible. It's not quite the case. It isn't quite the case at all. Nicole, thank you so much for liking the live. Really do appreciate that. Thanking you very much. And I think if I can delve into again a Windows-based mobile gaming PC, then of course I'll be able to do a whole wide range of different content. It doesn't have to be specifically horror. It can be also something that's quite comedic, action, arcade, all sorts. Absolutely all sorts of the matter. It would be awesome for that matter. And the reason why that I'm thinking about that is predominantly that there is a system called a Polymega system, and of course it's a device system that you attach through to any mobile PC device, or whether it's an Intel software of Apple, any of the sort that you attach it through via the computer, and you can play a shed load of retro games via that system, and it's all physical attachment. None of this silly bollocks from like app games or anything like one of them pre-installed game systems. It's nothing of the sort, which of course is something that I'm quite really excited for, that kind of investment. But of course, it's not something that's going to be straight away click of the fingers. It'll probably be something until July maybe, but I really don't know. It really does all depend on that. But of course, one of the retro systems very grateful of getting is of course the Atari 2800 console, and which of course it's not a built-in game console, it is literally a physical console in itself, which of course they're compatible with retro cartridges. And look at this, guys, look at how, so if you're remembering like back in the days for the Mega Drive, or when you first had your CD-based console like the first PlayStation, have a look at this. So this of course, I think there you go. So this is of course like one of the Atari retro cartridges, and of course it's like, you would say it's like somewhat between like a tape cassette, but it's like looking at a thick cigarette packet. But of course, as you can see through, the cartridge in itself is sort of upside down, and which of course this game in particular was one of the worst, not one of the worst, take that back, one of the first of Sega games. Now, if you're looking at this cartridge right here, you wouldn't think to believe that this cartridge in itself is 43 years old. That is how old this cartridge is. Ewan Leonard, thank you very much for liking the live. Really do appreciate that. Thanking you very much. So which of course, new system, old cartridge, and of course it will work. Literally, it will work like any other system. I think it's like FPGA type of the compatibility, so that there's no emulation, so you won't experience any drag loopholes or anything at all. So of course, I might actually do that for covering up for tonight's second slot time. Whether it's going to be that popular is going to be another question, but we shall see. We shall see, for that matter. So of course, I'll show you what I've got in the collection wise. So this is, as I say, one of Sega's very first games. As I say, going 40 plus years ago, called Carnival. Now there's not a variety of different games. It's like, if you remember, like sort of the Carnival shoot the target things with one of them pop guns, like with like little pellets that come with it or something like that. So that's what the sort of the arcade game that it was based on is, something like that. And then of course, let me get some of the others as well. So when you get the Atari 2800 plus console, if you got the Pac-Man edition, I think there's not. You do actually get a game with it, and which of course you get one of the very first Pac-Man games into it. Now, it's that bright and retro colourful. Even though it's retro, this is actually a remastered. It's actually a remastered, like I think, like not remastered, like a re-edition. Beg my pardon. So it's like a reprint. Not a fake copy, let's just be clear. It is a legit cartridge and anything, of course. As you can see, it's quite crispy clean on that one, if I tip it upside down, because all of the cartridges are upside down basis. And I think this game in itself, I think if we got the year when it originally came out, no, I don't think we do. So this was going back, I believe, early 1980s. So again, it's another 40-year plus game. But you may have noticed it says 7,800 and not the 2600. Now the reason being is that the 7800 was based on graphics like, if you remember, like the Sega Master System, it was like 8-bit console. There's literally 8-bit quality gaming. And for this game in itself, it's quite colourful. There you go. It's quite colourful in a sense. But of course, there's a little niche on this game. You may have noticed, as I turned it around, there was like a little square. And of course, there's like 4 TikTok switch. I say TikTok switch, little tick switches. What is this all in honor of? Now, with the instructions on how to change through, you get what the original 2600 version of this game. Now, the original 2600 of Pac-Man, well, let's just say you'd be surprised at how retro pixelated it is. If you think retro is like, oh, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Sega Mega Drive, no. You need to really rewind back for time to when video gaming was starting in the late 70s and upwards, and how it all started to become this particular trend. And of course, it's that pixel. I think you could probably even Google it and find the actual images in itself. So let me get the 3 other games. Well, there's 4 actually, because I've got one of the cartridges here. And then, of course, we have this one right here, Midnight Magic, and which, of course, this is what the original Atari 2600 cartridges looked like. Literally, it's like a massive cigarette packet. There's no... hold on, let me get my hand out of the way. There's no switch at the back of these ones, but of course it's the same sort of little cartridge slot that of course you insert into the system. And of course, in itself, this one is based on like a bit of a, I'd say, like, I wouldn't call it carnival, but a bit of somewhat in between, like a magician type of pinball. There's only one type of it, and it's practically that. And of course, people would play a decent half an hour, maybe an hour. I don't know how long people played video games back in the day on it, but that is what this was. Now, I never know what sorts of prices they were made back in the day. So if anybody knows of what the Atari cartridges were like back in the days, then of course leave your comments and your thoughts down below. So then of course we've got another very rare gem of a Sega game for the Atari. Now this one I have to be a little bit particular because it is a little bit fragile. Well, for something that is of course 46 years old of a cartridge. Look at this. This is Zaxxon. Now Zaxxon from Sega for the Atari 2600 is of course the cartridges like that in itself, and the gameplay is like, I think it was like a very weird way of trying to dictate into 3D gaming. It's not 3D gaming, but it gives that illusion. So Sega were quite very clever of how to develop a 2D sprite game to make it look 3D, even though it's 2D. But of course, the clever thing about it is that it's like third-person view of a spaceship, and you shoot things. So of course, to be able to get the points, you have to make sure that your spaceship was at the right height and then shoot. And of course, it also, depending on the left and right movement, it can be a little bit difficult for those that thinking, oh, it's going to be piss easy, like Space Invaders. No, you had to be quite precise of it. So they did an actual good job on something like this. But 46 years old. 46 years old for a game cartridge like that is absolutely amazing. It's nice to actually get a copy of it. So, and this was actually got through via my family, to be fair, from both my mother and father, and a lot as well as my uncle as well that helped with the research and getting stuff like this. So thank you very much, guys. Love to the family. Love to the family indeed. Now, of course, the second retro cartridges that I have is, of course, now, who remembers Gallagher? I'm sure somebody's got to remember Gallagher. But, of course, got this nice crisp. It is a reprint of the Atari 7800 of Gallagher. And, of course, it is a lovely little retro game that they've how they've brought it back, anything. And, of course, just like you played in the Namco arcade machines, of course, this, of course, in itself, really colourful. Like you'd say it's a more of an upscale version of Space Invaders in a way. And which, of course, the enemy characters will fly off, of course. They do all these different tactics, and which the characters in itself, like the enemy aliens that you have to shoot down, which, of course, they do get more difficult throughout the gameplay. And which, of course, the whole package itself is all nicely padded. For these reprints, and they kept it struck in tradition. If you remember back in the days of when we bought video games before the whole PlayStation 3 and onwards, video games came with manuals. They did. But of course, if you wanted to look at a manual or how to play instructions, it would be either built into the game or you would have to go through it online, and which, of course, I think physical game media has lost its touch since they got rid of instruction manuals. But of course, as you can see, they've kept the original and not done it digital or anything else. They kept the original, even though it's a reprint of an instruction manual through for the Gallagher. And it's no loads of pages. It's practically about 7 pages through, where basically 1 and 2 is like how to get started and explaining about the whole storyline of the game. Then, of course, look at how they try to refresh on the image. I'll try to do it without the back screen getting into the way of it. But look at that, how beautifully remastered that they've done the imagery. So there's nothing like a 2025 like edition or anything. They've kept it to the original drawing of it, and just by refreshing it, I think these guys have done a really, really good job. Atari. So, Atari, if you're watching this, good job on this one. Good job. Chunky Slayer 101, thank you so much for liking the live. Really do appreciate that. Thanking you. And of course, if you think that, you have to have like one of these little joystick things to play through, there are, of course, different controllers that you can add onto the Atari 2600 Plus. Because it does actually say at the back of the reprinted games that, of course, even though that is compatible with like the newly Atari consoles, like the remastered of the 2600 Plus or the 7800 Plus, you of course can use what they call a CX78 controller, which, of course, a CX78 controller, I can't do it too much zoomed in, because, of course, the green screen gets in the way of it first, so I have to be quite zoomed back. But for those who want to know what a 678 controller is, it's like looking at like a typical Nintendo controller. Directional D-pad and 2 buttons. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. And, of course, they did an amazing job on like the cartridge print as well. And a nice little dedicated cartridge slot. And, of course, creme de la creme on this. How beautiful. How beautiful is this little reprint right there? It's absolutely amazing. I actually quite like it. Do you like it? Do you like the controller? Do you like... That's not a controller, it's a cartridge. Do you like the cartridge? You do like the cartridge because it's going to be slotted in, said the gamer to the console, just before you wondered what sort of conversation that was. Naughty buggers. But so this is, of course, one of my favourite retro games to be sort of playing on through. And, of course, I think all prices of these reprint consoles through these remade games for the remastered consoles, they're all variant in prices, but you can easily say they're a hell of a lot cheaper than the current games, because some of them are going from like 50 to even £80. And if you're trying to buy a deluxe edition of these brand new games, up to 100. But for this in itself, would you pay 20 or £30 for it? I'd say yes, particularly because I love video games. And if it's that sort of different, diverse of getting the quality and fun out of it, why the heck not? Why the heck not? Especially if it's a whole lot cheaper. And the fact you get a physical copy of it, it's definitely worth it. Because unfortunately, in this day and age where games are now being digitally bought, and you don't know when, as soon as that game is off service, the game gets deleted through. So this is why I'm a little bit antsy against the whole digital gaming online. But it is what it is, I'm afraid. So sometimes games are not what they are as they seem to be. But one last game to actually show off through before I sign off. Or if anybody has a question or anything, then by all means feel free to ask for it. Why is that not going in? Oh, because it's getting caught up with the... There we go. I had to be really careful of that because I didn't want to rip the high quality packaging on this. Is absolutely unreal. Now, if I was to say, and this is probably one of my most prized retro games, if I was to say to you, Super Mario and Atari, hardly anybody would think that both Super Mario and Atari together, you'd think that's a little bit bonkers. It never happened, people will say. You're all wrong. Because guess what happened before the very first Nintendo electronic consoles came out? This, of course, me old gaming darling, is one of my most favourite priced retro game cartridges. It's, of course, the Super Mario Brothers on the Atari 2600. This is not a reprint. This is the actual original one. The original before the very first Nintendo console came out. And of course, it's an impeccable cartridge. And some will think, well, how do you actually play the game? Well, if you remember the whole arcade system of when it was the Mario Brothers defeating enemies and going through different pipes in itself, then that is basically what it was all... this game is based on. Now, it is quite a bit pixelated and can be a little bit distorted in a way. But of course, I get my rather enjoyment out of it. And again, and you can tell that this was the original Super Mario Brothers before coming through to the Nintendo console in itself. Now, you probably won't be able to see it on screen. I'll try and get as close as possible before we lose background. Is it going to do it? Is it going to do it? No, it's not. It's getting too close. But of course, at the very top row, you will see that it says copyright 1983 Nintendo of America, all rights reserved. And of course, it mentions the Atari labeling on the next row below. So this was, in fact, Nintendo had brought the character in itself on an arcade game onto the Atari 2600 before the actual release of the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, of course, back in the day of Nintendo in Japan, their first console was the Famicom, which of course over in America and in the UK and elsewhere in Europe, it would be known as the Nintendo Entertainment System, or simply put it as the NES. And of course, this literally came out before the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Famicom. So this was before the very main popular Super Mario game came out through. I don't think it did many sales on the Atari, because I don't think it was that recognisable maybe on the home console system. But of course, the fact that it's dated back in 1983 does pretty much confirm that this came out before the actual original Super Mario game 4. Your life is not eligible for recommendation and is restrictive in search results. Okay, that's a little bit strange. That was really, really strange. Sorry about if you saw a slight glimpse of my live stream being restricted on that, because unfortunately TikTok had said that it thought that I was showcasing for business, which of course was absolutely ridiculous. So of course, guys, test 12112. Can anybody still see me? Because apparently they've just restricted this live. There, of course, TikTok, I would appeal to this. I would definitely really appeal to this. So, guys, can somebody drop me a message to say that they're still able to view this? I think we just had a user come straight through. So, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. There's people still coming through. I really thought I was in trouble from TikTok for it, because of course it flagged up saying that we are restricting your visibility because they thought I was showcasing for business, and it really wasn't. It really wasn't. It was just showing treasuring off through. But of course, here in itself, that is my most rarest of game retro collection, and again, that was all found through family. So of course, they know me quite well. How they managed to easily get hold of this copy, I really don't know. But of course, they've done an amazing job. So love to the family. Love to the family. But which, of course, me old gaming darlings, we have, of course, ran out of time for what of this podcast talk. And of course, it was actually nice to give you all an insight as to what's going on with the channel, the upcoming content, and of course showing you my retro gaming collection as well at the same time. So which of course, my old gaming darlings, if of course you did enjoy this live stream, then by all means feel free to leave a like, or if you feel like you wanted to become a super fan, then by all means feel free and ask me away any of the DM messaging, and of course I'm more than happy to ask for any questions related to it. But of course, if you haven't followed RG88, then I highly suggest you do so that of course we can get to the 1,000 follows. But of course, it's still saying 500 follows. But as of now, my old gaming darlings, I'll leave you off with a little insight of the video of this upcoming Monday's live stream content. And so without further ado, my old gaming darlings, you take care of yourselves and each other. Love to you all, and thank you so much for your time. I'll see you all tonight for the final finishing off of Spyro 3, and of course what game we will be playing next after that. So of course, take care. Ta-da!